today's topic is about why organizations choose a hybrid multi-cloud strategy. Look, I wish I can come with a open AI or ChatGPT topic. Apologize for that because I didn't anticipate that's going to happen. So maybe we'll leave it to the next time. So today, I think the topic for some of you probably a bit of unfamiliar with, and bit of what do we talk about here? I thought everything is already on the cloud, especially for those startups. We know all the startups we already built or in the making, right? But still, there are a lot of from what we see, there are a lot of old technology or the big companies, they're still transitioning to the cloud. They already had a foot in the cloud on either on Azure or somewhere else. Because today I'll be a little bit biased or unbiased because I'm working for Microsoft. So look, hopefully in the next 20 minutes counting, and you can have a good idea about what the hybrid multi-cloud really is, and we how we look at it, and we as a Microsoft how we can tackle that issue or challenge or opportunities you may. So yeah, I'll quickly go through that. I would assume everyone can see my screen on the first screen, right? Cool. Yes. Okay. I'll take it as a yes. Okay. Cool. Look, before we go, just a very quick little bit about myself. So I've been working in the industry for the next 10 plus years. At the moment, I'm a cloud what we call a customer success architect for Microsoft. So with all my years, I've been because I really started my career as a .NET developer, then really grow from there. So I think my experience in terms of the career, it might or might not help some of you out there. So yeah, if you find my experience interesting, because I really starting from the engineer, from developer background all the way to the cloud. So yeah, feel free to reach out. As a Microsoft employee, I've been working on the .NET from the past 10 years. So I accumulated a few certs. The reason to put my certs there, not only for showing off how many I got, but I still feel there are a lot of resources out there to get industry recognition is very important. Either you choose to the path of Azure, which we love to see, or you go to the different routes, AWS, GCP. I think I personally recommend to get as many certs as possible. So it's a bit of a side note on that. Let's move on from there. Look, again, just very quick agenda about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to look at the cloud journey. Before we dive in any further, what is hybrid and multi-cloud? Then we're going to look at why people doing that. Do they have to? Do they have to because they're already there? Or then we look at the key challenges why going hybrid cloud could be hard or could be difficult. So and then we again, I'm just coming as my own opinion with the head of Microsoft. So we do have some guidance on how we look at it and what's our approach of it very quickly. And then I know so for some of you probably a slightly boring topic, but hopefully I can cover all of that in the next 70 minutes. Cool. Look. When we think about a cloud adoption, again, when I talk about it, is really about this the existing organizations. If you're a startup, probably that's not so much for to think about it because you are cloud native in a way. But for a lot of organizations out there, the journey of getting the cloud is because we always in our mind we think cloud journey is easy, like in the dark day, very easy path. We probably turn around, but we always got the lights on the other end of the road. We can clearly see where we're heading to. But things not always that easy to get there, especially for the company, the organization have legacy systems. So, what do we look at here? So really is, from our point of view, if we take a step back out of either your Microsoft or AWS, so we think, the technology is pretty easy. But, the motion requires some, change management. I think we always think of technology is the easy part, but also if you look at the circle on the left, it's really about technology working with the people and also the process together to help us to get there. So it includes the templates, we're leveraging the best practice documentations, all of that. It's really I echo back to the title of the title up there is achieve balance and deliver modernization. So if we have to summarize, it's really about align, the achieve and the deliver the fast results with the control and the stability. So that's how, if we take a step back for any cloud migration, either hybrid cloud or multi-cloud, that's what we look at. So, for the big organization today, if we look at it, I probably wouldn't name anyone because for the obvious reason, but for any big organizations, we can see their name on the news. You can see their name on, in the city, on the tall buildings. They probably running thousands of apps. Those running on the VMs, on the database, the serverless. It could be Java, could be PHP, WordPress, if you may. Back to the day, and also the infrastructure is vastly different. They might have a branch office, they might have a data center, they might have a co-location, or they may just have a few computers lying around in the corner of the office, which is still a part of IT today. So then we look at on the right-hand side. So they probably already in this hybrid or multi-cloud journey already. The marketing department might adopt Azure 5 years ago, and then the IT department started adopting other platform, which is quite common from what we see. So with all the changes going to happen, with all the different type of applications, your infrastructure, not mentioning you already have a foot in the cloud, some sort already. So how we look at this whole thing, and how we can tackle that and make sure we get the best out of it. Cool. Before we dive in any further of the topic itself, I want to take a step back again to look at what is it? What is hybrid cloud? What's the definition of it? What the ChatGPT told us if I type in hybrid cloud today, right? It's really about hybrid cloud is in the general term, at least from the Microsoft term, it's about it's a combined private and the public cloud. Really, it's whatever on premise you have today, whatever you have your own data center today, and also the public cloud that you're connecting to. I think the key here is, hybrid cloud allow data and application to consistently move between the two environments. I think that's very important. I will touch on more of that later from the slides. Right. And then, multi-cloud, as the name says, also the logo shows, is about, the company might have a multiple cloud computing service, from Azure, from our lovely competitors out there, including not necessarily means only public cloud. It could be on the private cloud in some shape or form. So, that's the multi-cloud. That's a word we in today. So then we can talk about, since we nailed the definition of what hybrid multi-cloud is, then we just look at why there is a motivation of doing that. So I quickly list out there's 6 pillars. It's really about the cost, because it's really about minimize, avoid single cloud provider lock-in. Because for the big organizations, there's more than pick who is the best technology out there. There's a commercial agreement. There are a lot of things behind it. The contract is signed. The contract is signed from different continent if you're multinational companies. So that's what we see. So some companies try to avoid the lock-in of the contract so they can have more leverage of it. And also from the knowledge point of view, the different, like what I said, different business units, the company that acquired, and they might have already adopted AWS or GCP or Azure in some case. So there's some knowledge, there's some invaluable knowledge. There's some people they can't just let them go. With knowledge they already built have, it's a great asset for big organizations to carry on with those knowledges. That I think that's another big part of why we have this motivation of that. I'll quickly go through the others. The regulatory is not another big thing. So some of the cloud platform, they might or might not have certain regulatory compliance issues or missing pieces from parts of the world, because in that way they have to using certain part of the public cloud to achieve the compliance regulatory issues or just get over these blockers, right? And then also about maybe some part of about continuity, some part of the world they just don't. If you really love Azure, I'm sure you all do, but I'm sure there's certain country or part of the world they just don't have Azure capacity out there. So how we can keep my business up and running without for the unforeseeable natural disaster. So I guess get on another public cloud which is available in the region. It might be a good choice for any company out there really. So also about the performance is another thing. We all think we're the best performed cloud out there, but there's a certain agreement with certain CPU or certain bandwidth. To get the most out of the public cloud, they will have a multi-cloud, hybrid cloud put together. And also, the migration is also another thing. So, with all I said, it's just a lot of motivation, another reason to be hybrid and a multi-cloud in the first place. So that's what the reality is. It's very different than if you look at a startup SaaS company. They're probably committed to Azure or AWS, and that's it. But in reality, there are a lot of more complex environments out there. So that's what we see. Right? All right, I think then we talk about hybrid cloud customer challenges. We see the motivation. We know why people either they choose to have the multi-cloud or hybrid cloud strategy or not. But then we look at the challenges, and it's complex. You need different knowledge people to understand different parts of the cloud. That's just the reality of it. The more you need to learn, the more capacity and the knowledge you need to have in your team. Also the regulation is another thing. I think here is just a great example. For some cases, for certain government or the industry you're in, certain data just cannot be put on the public cloud. Not only data have to sit in where the country is, but there is more to it to really stop you from putting data out there rather than save in your local data center. So that's another, the challenge of that. And then the compliance, the latency. Look, I just feel I'm kind of running out of time. I just quickly go through that. So there are a lot of challenges with how hybrid cloud today as well. So then we just get on accelerate transformation is complex, right? So if you look at it from the traditional infrastructure, the OEM hardware, oh man, it's always make you laugh sometimes with the OEM hardwares. We might have a path with Microsoft Azure. You go to, you have IoT, go to branch offices, go to the edge. You have maybe you have a hosting on the Google Cloud, and you might turn around the other way. You might overlapping with Oracle, AWS. All of that means is, how we can jumping out of this and create a clear, smooth transition of the moving to the cloud journey. So yeah, look. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah. then we just pivot on that. So, we know why we're using hybrid multi-cloud. We know why people using it today. We know the challenges. We'll quickly go through that. And but how we as a Microsoft look at the journey we have with customer together, and how we look at it, how we don't be afraid and really take it as an opportunity. So that's why we as if I can say that, we are the first cloud provider out there to really have the idea of hybrid and a multi-cloud, because we know in reality probably things can't just go to public cloud from day 2 really. I'm not even mentioning the day 5 and 6, right? So how we can help you to have something in place, to have the mindset in place, to have the process in place. That's why we have something called a cloud adoption framework. Again, I'm sure other cloud provider might have something similar, but I really do feel this is really good. When because we're using the word framework pretty seriously, because it is a framework. I'll quickly show you a few slides. You can see that. Yeah. It's really about I would say there's six pillars of what this Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure really is. First is we gonna define a strategy. There's no way around that. Without a proper strategy, there's no why the business wanna, and what's the outcome out of it. I think for any big organization IT shifts, that's what we want. And then the plan is very important. Of course, you're gonna align those you're gonna put things into action items. Then you're gonna ready is really mean because we just had the 3 pillar. We talk about the people, the process, and the technology, right? So then we have the adopt part of it, which is migrate and innovate. So sometimes we heard a lot about it's a term called lift and shift. So it's really about just put the workloads. If we have to, there's a lot of ways we can move the things to the cloud. The one way is just put everything on the cloud today, and then we can optimizing it, make it more cloud friendly, make it more PaaS friendly. There are a lot of ways to do the migration, and then we innovate from there. Can we put certain things into the container? So things like that. So we really, that's a very important step of our strategy of that. And also, the governance and the management is the reason we haven't put it out there, but it's really the government and management is really across the whole strategy we're having. So how we can create from day 1 to create a more fit in the compliance. We can have the proper control from the security, from the access point of view. Also, if that at the end of the day, is this environment really secure? Then also, talk about the operation and the optimization part of it. So, how I can know if something goes wrong, how I know where more likely it goes wrong. So, with this strategy, we have hopefully we will have a single panel, no matter how many environments you have, either on premise, on cloud, you will have a single panel to see, what is really going on. Look, I know I'm kind of running out of time. I'm just quickly go through that. So this slide is really give you give us a more in depth of what this hybrid and multi-cloud adoption journey really is. Like what I said, build strategy is always the first thing, but to define the plan, the environment and adoption really goes very closely together. And then, of course, the government and the management and the optimization part of it is going along sideways. Yeah. So it's just really about I think I want to emphasize again about building your hybrid strategy, or we call it hybrid multi-cloud strategy, is very important. I think for the big organization, regulatory data sovereignty issues always bring up to the topic. How we can improve the business continuity of it, how we can leverage more Azure with less bill at the end of the month or at the end of the year. So all of those things we need to consider. I think the cloud adoption framework from Azure really give us a very clear picture of what do we need to do on a very clear step-by-step point, very clear step-by-step process help us to achieve that. Then it's really about the strategy, building the plan, the multi-cloud, and really we not only talk about have the strategy in place, all the high-level stuff, but we do have something you can just go to GitHub and put your hands on today called Azure Landing Zones. So what it does is it's a bunch of scripts, and then it's just create a bare bone environment with the best practice we believe in place on the Azure platform. Again, it's not the go-to rules for any environment out there, but it does give us a very good a very, very good setup about what do we think a brand new environment more likely should look like. So it really give us a bit of guidance when you first move to the cloud. So I think that's really good. I strongly recommend it for I know there are a lot of engineers out there. If Azure is something part of your passion, landing zone is, if being a cloud engineer is one of the things you want to do, strongly recommend check out the Azure landing zone. It's really, really that good. Yeah. Cool. Sorry, I'm just very conscious of the time. Because we do
fine,
see.
Take your time. You still got 12 minutes.
Cool. Yeah, that's how I learned to be respect everyone's time. Yeah. Cool. Look, we're nearly at the end. So, there's three, typical customer stories. If they already on the hybrid first, Azure first, or they on the multi-cloud first journey. Because when we look at it, the approach we're taking is going to be different, right? Because if you already have the foot on the, you already foot on the different cloud provider, the way we look at it, the way we think about it, it's different than you purely on your own data center or another, in the back of your garage, right? There are the 5 computers running and the list. So, then we just have a different approach for, different parts of it. If it's a multi-cloud first strategy, we're probably going to use, I'm sure a lot of engineers out there knows something called Terraform. It's a cross-platform. If you look at the Azure first, we'll probably look at it from different point of view. So we're gonna dive into a little bit deeper on the identity networking, all of that. If we go back to the left, if a hybrid first, we're gonna heavily rely on the landing zone to have the first step on into the cloud world. So it's because the reason I want to show this is it's something we see very typical, the very typical scenario of what do we see. So that's that. Yeah. Here just quickly talk about the garments of that, why it's important, and all the fun slides, right? Cool. All right. I think I'm just look at cool. So here it's really give us a good overview from really, I think the operation is something we I wouldn't say often, but sometimes ignore is how important the operation part of it is. How we make sure what's the cost management of it? How do I know at the end of the month how much it costs me for a big organization? Sometimes it's very difficult to tell, almost impossible to tell. So we have some strategy, we have something to set in place for that, for example, right? So again, the operation is cloud is not only about building applications and push it to the market, but also about the management. Big part of it is the management, how we can being cost optimize, how we can leverage more cloud but paying less, for example, how we can accelerate the deployment, how we can make it more secure. So all the things as a part of operation management. Yeah. Cool. I think we nearly get to the end. Get to the end of it. I think here it's just a overall slides, just really recap what we just talk about. I think as you can see, cloud adoption framework sitting outside of it, but really in the heart, it's about define the strategy, have the plan, adoption, and readiness in place. Also, the government, I think I really like this circle. It's really the government management really going around it and just keep going around it and just keep the lights up, if I may say that. So, and then there are a lot of informations on Microsoft Learn, on the reference architecture. But really, I think landing zone, Azure landing zone, and then Azure cloud adoption framework. If Azure is the area you want to dive into, I think that's a great starting point for everyone really out there. So again, just want to say that's all, and thank you.